guys, welcome back to my channel. So it's been a while, but guys, I graduated nursing school. Oh my god, it's been a long time coming. So we are finally here. I can finally tell you what school I went to. I went to Holy Family University. It's in Philadelphia. It was a 22-month accelerated program. I come from, as you may or may not know, but just to recap, I come from a art background. I actually went to Parsons, the New School of Design, for my undergrad in graphic design. Well, actually it was communications design, but communication design is essentially graphic design. I was a graphic designer for many years. So I graduated Parsons at 22. I worked at a magazine for 4 years. I continued to do some freelance. I worked at another company. I worked for myself. So yeah, I was a graphic designer for many years, and I just got tired of the instability of the industry. It's like one of the first industries that will lay you off because they don't got money. Let's say if the company runs out of money, art department, bye. So that's pretty much what happened with like actually 2 of my jobs when I was a graphic designer. I actually got laid off due to insufficient funds or the company moving or whatever was going on at the time. And you know, that as I was getting older, you know, I wanted something that was more stable in my life. You know, I wanted to do things that require stability, you know, like getting married, have a kid one day. So I was like, you know what, I need to set the foundation for my life. So I literally Googled what are the best paying jobs, and with little amount of school, because I was willing to go back to school. It's funny because I had said I'd never go back to school, but I was willing to go back to school, but I just was like, I was willing to go back to school, but I was just kind of like, don't really want to spend a whole lot of time in school. Don't want to do that. Because at first I was looking at being a pharmacist, and I was like, 8 years, I don't think so. Doctor, 8 years residency, I don't think so. No. So, you know, it's funny because so many little things led me to nursing. My cousin's ex-fiance, she actually is a registered nurse, and she was like the first person that kind of introduced me to the fact of registered nursing. Like, my grandmother is a nurse, but I always saw her do home care. So like, taking care of somebody in their home, that's all I saw. So I thought that's all nursing was. My cousin's ex-fiance basically introduced me to like the whole like realm of like working in a hospital, making a lot of monies. And I'm like, oh, nurses make money? Like, I mean, I should have known because my grandmother made good money, but I don't know. It's never overly thought about it, because you know, I come from an art background. My mother's also an artist. Father was also an artist. I just never thought about science like that. But yeah, when, you know, she would get holiday pay, overtime pay, and I'm like, dang girl, you making money. And I don't mean to say it's all about money, because it's not, but that's how it started, okay? I'm gonna be honest. That is how it started for me, the stability and money, okay? So I did a lot of research. I'm a planner, did a lot of research, watched a lot of YouTube videos on here about, you know, how to become a nurse, what is nursing like, what are clinicals like, what is school like. And I learned a lot about test taking and the subject matter that you'll learn, and Solithol Apply or SATA or SATA, whatever you want to call it. Like, I learned a lot of different little isms that you pick up when you start nursing school. And I developed a plan. I basically, you know, I had a friend who wanted to get into nursing but wasn't able to get into it, so she had some foundation understanding of like, well, what you got to do or what would help you. And so I basically learned, okay, first things first, let me get a job in a hospital. You know, let me get a job in working as either you know, as a CNA, right? Ended up meeting with someone who told me, don't be a CNA. I mean, nothing against CNAs. I definitely think being a CNA prepares you for being a nurse, but she told me I should be a medical assistant. So I went to medical assisting school. It was a accelerated 8-week program, which is crazy because I meet so many medical assistants now and they all tell me it took them like 8 months, a year. No, I just feel like this path was like a godsend for me, because there were so many little things that happened for me so quickly that other people, it took forever for them. So yes, I was able to become a medical assistant, a certified medical assistant in 8 weeks. I got a job as a critical care technician. A lot of people say it's essentially a CNA. I guess you could say it is, but I do phlebotomy and EKG a little bit more than what CNAs do. Technician has like technical skills. So yeah, we know how to read EKG, we know how to do an EKG, we know how to draw blood. So yeah, those are some of the things that we do as a tech. So yeah, I was a tech for 2.5 years. I started in 2019, December, as a critical care tech at my hospital. And that my floor is very heavy. It's a med-surg telemetry cardiology floor. We literally get a little bit of everything. I mean, literally, I've seen it all. I mean, every body process, every disease. Like, obviously, probably not every disease, but I've seen a lot of I've seen a lot, okay? You've seen a lot of stuff on that floor, okay? Because we get everybody. We get all the patients. We get young, old, diabetes, heart disease, kidney disease, liver disease, stomach disease, intestinal disease, respiratory issues, trachs, amputation, surgeries, gangrene, broken arms, broken legs, falls, old people, dementia, schizophrenia, bipolar, borderline personality disorder, suicidal ideation. Like that's a little bit of it. We get a lot. So I've learned a real well-rounded foundation. And also too, because I work in a teaching hospital, I learned a lot of the nurses are willing to like teach you or show you things. So sometimes under the, you know, view of the nurse, of the registered nurse, I've been able to do some nursing things on my floor, you know, so they're open to letting you do that. And school for itself, like all my classes were 8 weeks long up until the end, and they changed it the last semester, but I had 8-week-long classes. I actually wasn't able to, the first 2 semesters I did lab. So lab essentially just teaches you, you know, the fundamental skills, how to make a bed, which, you know, how to make a bed, how to, which I already knew how to do, because my grandmother's a nurse. So my grandmother taught my mom how to make a bed, and my mom taught me how to make a bed like a nurse. So I already knew how to do that skill. You learn how to do Foley catheters, like how to empty them, which is eyes and nose. You learn how to do a, you know, sterile procedures, how to do a trach, how to, you learn how to suction trachs. You learn how to clean central lines with sterile technique. You actually learn how to do a Foley catheter. Like, you learn these skills in the first 2 semesters of school. For me, it was 8 weeks each. It was two semesters of that, so 8 weeks each. And you learn how to do an assessment, cardiology assessment, respiratory assessment, neuro assessment, bowel, like GI assessment, GU assessment, skin assessment. So that first 2 months, the first 2 semesters, you learn all those skills. So, and then the third semester was my med-surg semester, med-surg 1 semester, which I was supposed to have clinical for, but due to COVID, I actually had to be online, which I didn't mind. You literally had to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, you sitting on your couch, you turn your TV on, you turn the computer on, you just kind of talk. I mean, you literally had to do 12 hours worth of work, but at least you got to be home, right? And then my 4th semester was psychology and pharmacology 1, which, you know, I learned basically nursing mental health, which is very interesting. You learn a lot about all the different types of mental illnesses and what they mean and the medications for them. And pharmacology, obviously, you learn all the drugs. They split the drugs in half, so you do you do half of the drugs for cardiology, half of the drugs for respiratory, like so on and so forth. And then my 5th semester, was med-surg 2, which I actually had my first clinical at a hospital. And it's very interesting. You know, it was because I had already been working on a med-surg floor, and my floor is very crazy to me. It wasn't as crazy, but it was interesting working in the nursing aspect, like administering drugs, going into the med room, which is something I don't do as a tech. And that was 8 weeks long. Clinical was 6 weeks long. And then my 6th semester was geriatrics and pharmacology 2. So obviously I learned the remainder of the drugs from pharmacology 2. Geriatrics was about the learning of old people. So I feel like nursing school inserted that because there's such a big population of older people, and a lot of people underestimate older people, underdiagnose older people. So I feel like they insert it to like help people learn in school the importance of paying attention to older people as a group of, you know, a population. So that was that. My 7th semester was my favorite, maternity. So unfortunately I only had 3 weeks worth of clinical for that, but I really enjoyed it. I got to see a C-section, circumcision, we got to dissect a placenta, we got to watch, you know, the contractions, the monitor, talk to some nurses. You know, it was a good hospital. It was a night. My professor was really good. So it was really fun to be able to see that, especially the C-section. That was pretty cool. I had to scrub up and go in and be like, oh my God, there was so many moving parts. Got to see them like literally slice open this woman to pull this baby out and then sew her back up layer by layer. It was very cool. Next semester, so I had 11 semesters, so I'm trying to count them all. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so the 8th semester, am I on the right semester? I don't know. The 8th semester was pediatrics. Honestly, that was probably my worst subject, is pediatrics, because you literally have to learn everything that you've learned for kids. Like all the age ranges for kids are different. You have to learn all the you have to learn all the developmental like processes, like gross motor skills, fine motor skills, also the mental like stages. You have to learn like all the different defects that they get that are different, like congenital heart defects that you get, all these diseases that kids get, all the you have to learn all the vaccination times like that they get, like when to give certain vaccinations. You have to know the ages and like how many times you give it at what age. Like there was just so much with pediatrics that I was literally on the borderline of failing pediatrics. Like it was a rough semester. Okay, I was like, I had PTSD from that semester for like several semesters after that, because I just like constantly felt like my professor was trying to like trick us for every exam. So yeah, so the 9th semester was Med-Surg 3, which really is like critical care. You're learning about chest tubes, you're learning about you're learning about the EKG monitor. Like you're actually learning specifically what the monitor means. You have to know all the heart rhythms, and you have to know which ones are lethal. You have to learn all the drugs that you need for each heart rhythm that are dysarrhythmias or whatever. You have to learn, like, basically, you know what's something that for you guys that aren't in nursing school or who haven't learned this yet, one thing I learned that's so interesting, okay, you know how on TV, and this is the thing about nursing or doctor shows, they tell you that you know how when someone flatlines, like beep, it's a flatline, right? We call it asystole. They basically tell you you're supposed to do the paddles, the electrical paddles, and be like clear, and then pop them up, and their heart's supposed to come back. That is actually false. You cannot do that on someone with no pulse, because there's electricity in those things, right? And the heart is electrical when it's pumping, right? But if it's not pumping, there's no electricity to restart. There's nothing there to connect with. There's nothing. The electricity from the defibrillators they can't connect with the heart because there's no electrical pulse from the heart. You actually use those for something called Vfib or VTAC, which is ventricular fibrillation or ventricular tachycardia. So those are very irregular, deathly rhythms that still have some electrical, you know, output that you can connect with that will reshock the heart to get you back to a better rhythm, okay? Asystole, you're actually supposed to, which is the flat line, you're actually supposed to administer epinephrine, certain drugs to help the heart basically pump up. And obviously you're supposed to do CPR. Yeah, I mean, there's more to the rhythms, but I thought that was interesting because on TV they make it seem like when you're flatlining, you're supposed to be like clear, boom, and they're supposed to come back to life, but that's not true. So anyway, that's Med-Surg 3, which was all critical care, basically ICU stuff. If I had to complain about anything, I would say that my clinical for Med-Surg 3 was actually terrible. I literally was put back on the same floor for the clinical I had for Med-Surg 2. And I felt like I was learning Med-Surg 2 stuff again. So honestly, if I had to say one negative thing, it's I wish we were put on the ICU floor, but due to COVID, they weren't really trying to have students on the ICU because all the patients had COVID. But honestly, I mean, we're gonna be nurses anyway. We signed a waiver, we're wearing masks, we wear the N95s, we're here to learn. Just put us on the COVID floors, what's the big deal? But you know, whatever, they don't want a lawsuit, so I get it. But so yeah, so that's that. And then the 10th semester, am I skipping semesters? I don't know. The 10th semester, it was community and transitionals 1. So transitions 1 is basically preparing you to graduate. You are taking something called Capstone, which is kind of like, it's like ATI. ATI basically is like an online, you take it throughout nursing school. So ATI is something like in addition to nursing school, like it's like a program the nursing school has like bought, or you bought with the nursing school, that you basically do all these assignments for throughout nursing school. And so ATI, when you get to Capstone, is basically kind of going over everything you've learned in every semester to recap you on basically everything you learned, preparing you for graduation essentially. So that's transitions 1. And then community was all about like nursing in the community. Like my particular clinical was very interesting. It was at a behavioral health hospital, basically people who are struggling with drug addiction. So my school's in Philadelphia, and if you know or don't know, Philadelphia has a very high drug issue, like a very high drug issue. And there's a specific area called Kensington where a lot of drug addicts are from and live, and it's bad. It's really bad there. I mean, it's getting better. They're trying to, like, you know, clean it up, whatever, but it's still pretty bad. And so basically that was one of the most, besides like my maternity clinical, which I actually was looking forward to, I would say surprisingly my community clinical was the most interesting, because I literally learned so much. I got to really interact with the patients and ask them questions about how they got caught up in drugs, and, you know, learn about, you know, their experience and why they can't, you know, get sober or stay sober. Learn about like people who've died that they know that from drugs, and get to see them get administer their medicines to help them. Like, it was a really interesting clinical. I will talk about this in another video, but I actually had a racist professor. I still actually have I didn't talk to my school about it, because at the time I was like, you know what, I'm not trying to raise no eyebrows, I'm not trying to shake the table, I'm just trying to graduate and get my license. So now that I'm finished school, I am actually going to contact my school and let them know about the situation. And I'll talk about it in another video as to why I didn't talk about it, or why I didn't bring it to my school's attention in school. But I'm gonna just say I had a racist professor, and that made it kind of, you know. But moving on. So my last semester, which was semester 11, was actually 6 weeks long. They changed the time, I don't know why. Like, all the semesters were 8 weeks except for the last one. And I took leadership and transitions 2. So transitions 2 was just basically finishing out Capstone and basically getting us ready to register for NCLEX. So they got us registered with our state, made us do some child abuse like program that we had to do, sign up and paid, registered, paid for NCLEX. Basically we didn't get our test number yet, but we had to basically prepare ourselves to be ready to take the test, just, you know. And then we had to take at the end of school, we had to take a 3-day ATI course to recap us. Literally, it was like a review. It was like 8 hours long for 3 days, where we went over every subject. And then we had to do something called VATI, which is called virtual ATI, which it's like a recap of, it's like basic Capstone all over again, only you have to work with a coach, and you have to like go through every chapter, every subject, and basically take tests and communicate with your coach that you're proficient enough in that subject to move on to get a green light to get your ATT. And an ATT is like, what's that stand for? It basically just means like you're eligible to test, like you're eligible to get your test date. I forget the word for it, but so yeah. So they basically allow you to take this VATI. They give you a start date. My start date was June 8th, and they allow you 12 weeks from that date to take it. So like all into the summer you can take VATI, like you could do it at your leisure, whatever. I knew that I wanted to basically finish it before I graduated, because I was looking for jobs. So I'll go talk about it in another video, but basically I've been looking for jobs since March. I had several interviews in the works, and I wanted to basically finish it and be done with it so I can go ahead and take my NCLEX so I could go ahead and start working. So I finished VADI before I graduated. I graduated June 30th, so I know I'm a little late making this video, but I had a lot going on. Even lately, I have had a lot going on, and I finally have some downtime to actually talk to you guys. But yeah, I graduated June 30th. We didn't get an official graduation because apparently, because we didn't graduate in May, we weren't eligible to graduate with the May 2022 class. So we didn't get a graduation, like an official one, to walk, but we got our pinning ceremony, which essentially was like a graduation because we got to walk, and then our partner or whoever we chose to do our pinning ceremony got to pin us. So I had my fiance Blake pin me, which was so special. So that was nice. And yeah, I finished VADI, got my green light to test, and I graduated. So that's where we are. And yeah, I hope you guys stay tuned because I have a lot of videos planned for you guys. Now that I have time, I have so many videos planned for you guys. I actually plan on posting a video every other week or 2 videos a month, basically here on out until I change up my schedule, because as you guys may or may not know, I actually have a natural hair channel that I actually need to start getting back into as well, because I've been slacking on that channel as well. Like, people have been like, hello, where's our videos, where's our link checks, you know. I haven't been able to do that, so I actually have to get back with them too. So I'll be alternating. I hope to make a video a week between this channel and my hair channel, so stay tuned for that. For anybody who has natural hair, make sure you check out my natural hair channel, and I'll be back in a couple weeks updating you on what's going on now, but will be in the past then. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.